You can start now.
All right. Hello, everyone. Should I wait? Should I wait a bit for more people to join, or should I just go ahead?
Just go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ignasi. I am UAP Spain's national safe person. We'll get onto what that means a bit later. But today I'm here to talk to you a bit about safety and welfare in UAP, and we'll talk a bit about how that's going to happen in Barcelona 2020. And with me today is also Bryce García, who's the president of UAP Spain, and who will also be at the session as an event safe person. We will also get into what that is a bit later. The way that this presentation we hope is going to work is that you'll, if you have any questions that arise throughout the presentation, hold on to them. And at the end, we're going to have a pretty extensive Q&A where you'll be able to ask either Bryce or myself any questions that have to do with safety or welfare in the UAP. If we can go on to the next slide now. UAP, as you know, is an organization that happens both at an international level and a national level. And when it comes to welfare and safety, we have two main policies that we apply in all of our events. So the one that has been there since I've been in the organization, which is 7 years ago, and that is the one that dictates the code of conduct, which is the document that you all signed at the beginning of an event, is the welfare policy. And this sort of dictates general behavioral guidelines for participants at UAP events, looks at how delegates and officials interact with each other, between each other and sort of like amongst themselves, and also dictates rules that have to do, for example, with alcohol and drug use, as well as general behavior at an event. This also includes, for example, not leaving the venues or like following the schedule and so on. The other policy that has been passed quite more recently has to do with specifically dealing with cases of discrimination, bullying, harassment, and abuse of any kind. And it was passed in the last couple of years, and essentially focuses a bit more on those situations. Obviously, EYP is sort of like an idyllic place where we think that things don't happen as they do in the real world, but the reality is that they can, and in fact, in certain situations they do. And so we have recently started regulating that and figuring out what we can do in those situations. And one of the things that we have established is the position of a safe person for each event. And that's what I will tell you a bit more in the next couple of slides. So we can move on to the next one. So who are we? So I'm the national safe person of UAP Spain. What that means is that I coordinate what safe persons do at events, meaning that I sort of give them some form of training as to what they're supposed to do in different situations and what the general guidelines that we should follow are. And I also make sure that we select people that are capable of doing that role, and also generally a point of contact for members of the organization in case they need to get in touch with someone for welfare related matters outside of events. And then also in this call is Bryce, who is the president of UAP Spain, who is a member obviously of the board. He's the head of the board, and he will also be an event safe person in Barcelona 2020. So for now, we are the two people that are working on welfare for Barcelona 2020. But the people that you will see at the event itself are the event safe persons. And as I said, Bryce is one of them. So we can go on to the next slide. Yeah. what an event safe person, according to the policy, is the focal point for any questions, concerns, reports of behavior that are against the present policy, the welfare policy, or any other behavior that is harmful or dangerous to participants or officials during events. So what the event safe person is meant to do at an event is, on the one hand, ensure that the rules that we follow in EYP are that we dictate in EYP are actually being followed. So we're looking at, as I said, the code of conduct, all the drug and alcohol related policies, but also like that people sort of respect each other, that they don't harm each other, and that they follow to a certain degree, like, of course, the program in the way that it's designed. This obviously doesn't happen only is not done uniquely by the safe persons, but also like it takes the entire officials team to coordinate, and it also takes in general all participants to comply with that. But on the one hand, the safe person makes sure that all of this happens, and on the other hand, they're there so that if someone has a problem of any kind that has to do with, for example, any form of like bullying, any form of harassment, any form of abuse by another participant, they are there to support the victim, and they are there to make sure that there's a fair sort of mediation in case some mediation needs to be done. And ultimately, they can also advise the board of EYP Spain or the head organizers, or even they can take on that authority by themselves to even like expel a participant of a session if they don't follow the right guidelines that we implement in EYP. In terms of who can be an event safe person, so generally we're looking for we generally have like experienced EYP alumni that are ideally less involved with the organization. I, for example, as a coordinator of the event safe persons, I am kind of like out of the loop a bit. I'm a bit more experienced, a bit older, and so this type of role is the part of the reason why I have this role, and this is the reason why I also look for similar people for the roles of event safe persons. We obviously look for good track records at sessions and high empathy, and people that are capable of behaving professionally in high stress environments. The idea for all of this is to have someone that is flexible in dealing with difficult situations, and that has good communication and has high empathy to sort of like understand the things that people to sort of understand how they can deal with the things that people go through. As I said, Bryce is going to be one of the event safe persons, and even though he's a member of the board, he is still quite an experienced alumni, and yeah, this is one of the reasons why we think that he will be like he is a good candidate to be an event safe person. It's the reason why he will be. In terms of what we look for in the core principles behind welfare at an EYP event, if we can go to the next slide. So we believe that like participant welfare is about taking care of ourselves and each other, and we look at this in sort of three different ways in the context of a safe person. So firstly, like we are trying to promote a healthy daily routine, and one of the core things that has been changing the past couple of years is that we are trying to move away from unhealthy scheduling, and the idea of like not sleeping much at a session because we're working really hard, or because we're socializing until late into the night, which is the thing that happens both for delegates and also obviously officials, and also like to a lesser degree, and obviously in coordination with the organizing team, that we ensure that there's a balanced diet and that water is available. Event safe persons also are there for conflict resolution, namely to sort of mediate between different participants, including delegates, officials, and teachers, but also to protect those who are victims of that. Obviously, I use the term victim rather loosely, and it can be anything from someone who has been insulted to someone that has actually been like physically harmed. It's not something that happens often, but I think it's important that we have the conversation of saying, look, this is something that can happen in an organization, and it can happen in our events, and so we need to be aware and we need to be prepared to act if that were to happen. And finally, what we try to do as safe persons as well is to be available. One of the things that I always tell the people that are going to do this at any event is that they need to be visible for other participants, because if someone is not going through a good moment for whatever reason, they feel like they've been insulted during committee work, for example, they need to be there to sort of like support that person, and this person needs to be able to see them. The other thing is they need to be approachable and open-minded to all participants, because we can't really like have a person that is a bit evasive or like that isn't really like all that engaged with what's going on around them in this role, because it's key that they're approachable and they are capable of like understanding the problems of different people. So in terms of what we're going to do in Barcelona 2020, if we can move on to the next slide. We have obviously the circumstances that we currently have are a bit unexpected and have made us like change our plans a bit. So one of the first things is, because we have a lot of participants at this event, as I understood it the last time I asked, we were at around 120 delegates. We will have multiple safe persons at the event. So as I said, Bryce is going to be one of them, since he is a member of the board and the president of EYP Spain. We sort of like have that quote unquote secure. We know that he will be there. However, we will also look for a second person, probably someone who's older and less involved in the organization, who also has the same qualities that I've described earlier. And they're going to work collaboratively to sort of be there for everyone at the session when the session occurs. And ideally, we will look for someone who's not male, because we think that it is important to have gender balance in this types of subjects, because there are, even though in an ideal world we wouldn't want that, the reality is that there are certain subjects that you feel comfortable approaching people of your same gender, for example, and as such, it would be a really good thing to have a certain balance at our event. So the other thing that we're looking to do, obviously, is to adapt any welfare-related matters to the new circumstances. So we don't know what the situation will be when the event happens, if we will still keep on having certain social distancing norms and so on. And as such, we're willing to go as far as even changing the code of conduct if that ensures that our participants are safe and that we comply with any legislation or any rules that the government still applies and recommends for these types of events. And finally, we have we're looking to have a strong emphasis on self-care. It is, again, going back to what I was talking about earlier on scheduling. We're looking for people to have a good experience and also to not be fully drained by the end of it. We want them to enjoy, and we want them to sort of like be able to come back home and like still be sort of like happy and be able to reflect on what they've done. So a positive and healthy learning environment will be encouraged by the safe persons, but also hopefully by the officials, and ultimately we will be looking as well to have delegates sort of like to sort of communicate that environment as well. And again, to sort of like follow the sessions theme as well. We think it's really important to be the sustainability of the self, sort of echo the sessions theme, and this has to do with the way that you sort of go about your day and how you take care of yourself, from things from like drinking enough water, eating enough food, and having a balanced diet, having some time for yourself if you need to, and so on. In terms of what the presentation was, this is roughly it. If we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so I'm opening now the rounds for Q&A. You also have on this slide our contact details. If you have any questions, both Bryce and myself are available through WhatsApp and and you can send us an email as well if you have something you want to write in a longer way. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to write them on the chat, and we will answer them as well as we can. Otherwise, I can cover the 4 questions that I have here, and that's also okay. But I would like to know what you guys are thinking and what you would like to know about both what an event safe person is, what they're there for, and also any other questions that have to do with welfare and safety.
Let's wait a bit because there's some delay. So. Or if you want to start answering these questions, you can start.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Okay. So in terms of what a safe person can do for me, obviously this is a very open-ended question, and there's tons of things. I think ultimately what this person's role is to reassure you in case you're not feeling confident or something has happened to you, and to also point you to the right sort of mechanism or person if something were to go wrong. So if you're feeling very anxious about, for example, committee work, is something that can happen quite often to delegates, and it can also happen to officials, quite frankly. This is the type of person you can approach, and they're obviously not a trained professional in any way, but they are there to sort of be a person to talk to, and to whom you can explain your problems and expect full collaboration, and also like full engagement, and whose role is literally to make your experience better from a welfare and a safety standpoint. So that's the way I would look at it. Yeah, if anyone has any questions following up to that, please do let me know.
I have a question if you want to.
Yeah.
I'm a quite shy person, and when approaching someone I don't know, maybe I would like to know what would be like the protocol they would follow to address my concerns and my like problem. What do you know what I mean? Like the steps they would follow, or maybe like the rules or something.
Yeah, so if you feel, for example, like you're not too comfortable talking with someone when there's other people around, and this is something that can happen quite a bit in any YP setting. One of the things that safe persons in general always do is ask whoever comes up to them if they're happy talking here, if they want to talk somewhere quiet in a setting that is more like friendly to what they want to talk about, and so on. So that's one of the first things that we do. And the other things that safe persons generally do is, first of all, as I said, keep an open mind. Be open to anything that a participant might say, because we obviously don't know what the experience has been. And second of all, we look to listen actively to make sure that this person feels comfortable and feels listened. So those are I think, without going into more detail as it pertains to a particular situation, what we try to do. Also, particularly if it's someone that, as you say, might be a bit shyer and might struggle a bit more to express what they're feeling or what they want to talk about, and so on.
Perfect. I'm thinking about other questions, but you can maybe go on with the next one.
Yeah, no, of course. In terms of what should I approach a safe person for, I think I've covered a bit about this, but if at any point you feel like something is not going well, and you either have a very particular, you know, the exact reason why things are not going very well, or you're just generally like, oh, this is so overwhelming for me. Like the environment in which UIP happens, which can be quite stressful and can be quite intimidating, is sort of like getting the best of me at this time. That is a perfect situation to go and talk to the safe person about. We won't be giving you like professional advice of any sort, as I said, but we will be talking from our experience, and we will be helping you if something concrete needs to happen for you to feel better at the event. So like any situation in which you feel like, as I said, something isn't going right, you're not feeling well, you're not feeling listened, you're not feeling like comfortable in the way that the event is going, then that's a situation in which the safe person should be there for, and you can talk to them. And again, if something truly like problematic is happening, if there are instances of harassment, of bullying, of abuse of any sort, they are the go-to person, and they're the person that will start dealing with that problem, because it's originally like the reason why they exist, and it's the reason why we have them in our organization in the last couple of years, because we've realized that this is something that we were lacking in the past, and we are fixing at this time.
Mm-hmm. And maybe so delegates and teachers know that they can approach this safe person in Spanish if they want to, and if they feel more comfortable, or in Catalan maybe, and well, if the safe person is Ignasi, but in Spanish mainly.
Yeah. So again, what I want to say as well is that there's, at this point in the UIP network, safe persons are commonplace in any event. So no matter whether it's for this event or for an event, for example, at an international session, an international forum, or another national, safe persons are approachable both in the national language normally, and in English. So they have that flexibility that you can talk to them in whatever language. There is no, we because we try to be as approachable as possible. We also are flexible in that sense, and we're there more for like less for an educational reason and more for like a safety reason. So that's something worth noting as well. Yeah, I mean, if you wanna write the question in the chat, that's also perfectly fine. I have it open. Otherwise, I'll keep going through the round of questions.
Perfect.
That I prepared. In terms of how the UIP is evolving in terms of welfare, I think the schedule issue is something that is worth discussing. So more in detail. So when I started, it was quite common that both delegates and officials would, particularly as the session would finish, work until very late, and sometimes sort of like show off of the fact that they didn't sleep, or like chat with people late into the night, and so on. That type of behavior, while it is understandable, particularly for young people, we are more energetic, we are more capable of doing this. It is really not healthy, and it can lead to very like toxic mechanics in the way that the event happens and the way that you sort of lead your life as well. And so this was one of the first points of emphasis on top of dealing with cases of harassment, abuse, or bullying, that sort of made us shift in paradigm when it came to our welfare and the way that we take care of each other and of ourselves. So if like one of the things that I've said is that the figure of the safe person is all about making sure that there's someone there in case of anything bad happening, but it's also a person that sort of can tell you whether you can do something different take care of yourself a bit better. And so that's where the EYP is sort of moving towards. And I think nowhere is that seen better than when we talk about sleeping patterns, and drinking water, and like those like small things that sort of make our life more human and better.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if Bryce, if you want to add anything, feel free to obviously jump in as well.
No, yes, but also the building on what you were saying, that the importance that in EYP we've been giving to safety has been growing drastically in the last year. So this is the first year that we have a national safe person, and and with years and more time, we will continue to make this one of our most important points, and one of our crucial goals is to have a session where everybody feels as comfortable and as good as what we as EYPers have grown to expect at every single session. And this is something that we take very seriously, and maybe as a delegate you might not notice it at a first glance, but it is something that there is a group of people working behind the scenes, from the Orga team to the event safe person to the national safe person, making sure that your experience at EYP is what we expect the EYP experience to be.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to invite, if there are any delegates particularly that are interested in anything that has to do with how to take care of oneself at a session, and so on. I think, we are a pretty, I would say, experienced panel here, and we can give you some advice in that sense. And it would be very nice to also hear what your concerns are and so on. Yeah.
Yes. And just to add, and address this like time managing to Barcelona 2020, I would like to add that the program takes into consideration the time to sleep, and not finishing the last events very late, so you can have time to maybe chat a bit, and then go to sleep and sleep the proper hours for you to be like a human being the next day, and to act properly during committee work, and that kind of things. But what I would like to ask, maybe as an official, to you, Ignasi, is like how to manage my time to like implement or add to the program some time for me, and to maybe do some sport, or I don't know, like that kind of activities that it's only involving me and not the session.
Yeah, so I think you're touching on a very important point, which is what I always try to say is that we have a certain like ideal day in our life outside of EYP, right? And we try, and what happens quite often when we go to a session is that we deviate from that quite a bit.
Yes.
And as you said, like exercise, for example, is a key thing that we completely ignore sometimes. So particularly as an official, and this is something that can also be organized as an activity in the mornings for delegates to do as well. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I like to do is to go for a run in the morning. I tend to find that mornings are better at sessions because everything runs. Normally people like to socialize in the evenings, and if you're a person that, for example, runs for 40 minutes normally, at a session you maybe have the time for 20, or you maybe have the energy for 20, but those 20 minutes make it so that your day at the session looks much more like a day in your regular life. and that is something that I would definitely advise. And when it comes to time management, a very important aspect that is often ignored, and there's different people deal with this in different ways. I think us Spanish people in general are quite extroverted, so we don't mind spending time with other people as much. But if you're more of an introvert, and also if you're an extrovert, really, it's important to have some time for yourself, where you, for example, listen to music, watch a quick 20-minute clip of your favorite series, for example. I remember that there was someone that told me that they would just watch episodes of Friends at a session during the night, because this was something that would make them relax and sort of spend some time with themselves and so on. That is something that is definitely, it's not only advisable, I would say it's encouraged, that you take that time for yourself. Because in terms of social interaction, EYP is like a pressure cooker, right? It's just constant. You can't really avoid it. And so sometimes it's important to get out of your way and sort of take some time for yourself, because it is something that is seriously lacking at an event normally.
Yes. Perfect. I'll try to implement that.
Let's see. So yeah, there's, in terms of taking care of yourself, I think this is the most important thing, to just try to make it look as much as possible as a regular day, because that's what's going to make you sort of operate in a more productive way, but also in a happier way. It's going to help you enjoy things a lot more. Stress normally comes from focusing on very specific tasks and not diversifying the profile of things that you do. And so being able to do that is something that will certainly help you in dealing with the stress and the energy, and helping you have the energy that you need for a session.
Yes. Another thing to add is that, well, I don't know if you will relate to what I say, but it's when I'm in an EYP session, I tend to find normal being overwhelmed or very excited, and that in the end makes me feel very exhausted. And I don't know, what would be your advice? When it's not a problem, I don't see it as a problem, but it's I don't know how to make the question, but
I think I understand what you mean. I think the best way to explain this feeling is that in EYP the highs are very high and the lows are very low.
Exactly.
And that, again, it comes down to this idea of moving away from who you are normally on a daily basis and what you do on a daily basis. What you're going to find is that if you try to make EYP, the routine that you follow in EYP as close to the routine you follow on a daily basis, you might find that your highs aren't as high, but also your lows aren't as low, because the things that make you happy will make you happy more like they do in real life, as opposed to the sort of incredible joy that they bring in EYP. But at the same time, the things that bother you, the things that stress you out, will also feel more like a daily sort of thing. And the further, I like to think that we all have this mood baseline, right? And you can get away from the baseline in a positive way and in a negative way. So you can get very happy, or you can get very sad or very angry. The furthest we are from that baseline all the time, the more tired we're going to get. This is the reason why after an EYP session, you generally feel really tired, no matter how it has gone, positive or negative. So being able to keep those super strong emotions a bit in check, even if that means like, not being as joyous about the joyous things, but also not being as angry or as sad in the less joyous things, helps you get through things a lot better, and I think it also helps you to have clarity after the event and have the ability to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
No.
If any of the sorry, Nora, go ahead.
No, go.
Yeah, if any of the other officials that are here as well wants to ask any questions,
Mm-hmm.
also feel free to ask them on chat. Yeah, I think it would be nice to turn this into a discussion as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a shy audience today, but you're doing great, and I think it's very helpful. Yes.
Yeah. I mean it.
No, go.
Sorry.
Go.
No. Go ahead.
No. But I found myself in a situation where maybe I'm having a problem or I'm not feeling that well, and I don't want to approach someone because I don't want them to feel like I'm a burden, like I'm like a bad thing, a bad like vibration or input to their experience in EYP. And I think that's something we should like get as far as possible, like this sensation, because usually you're like, it's more than okay that you feel that way, and the sooner you get this problem like solved, the sooner you will get okay and get to experience to the fullest the session. And that's something I wanted to add, to like not feel like you're a burden, but to express and then let go that feeling and continue, like move on.
Yeah, I mean, to follow up on that, I think what's really important is to know each person deals with the way that an EYP session goes in their own way, and some people deal with it better by just like sitting down and thinking about it, like by themselves. But what you touched upon, the idea of being a burden, that's the thing that we want to avoid. We don't want to have someone not go seek for help because they feel they're a burden, right? If you don't seek for help, it's because you decide not to, because you think that that's the way that you better cope with things, not because you think that you're going to feel like a burden to someone else. And I think that's the key distinction, right? A safe person is there if you need them. You're not required to sort of go and talk to them if you're feeling down, obviously. But they're a support that is there by design for this. And so that's the way that you should look at it. And if you feel like you're going to be a burden to someone, then okay, go and talk to this person, because then they're the person that is by design there to make you feel like you're not a burden and to make you feel better. Yeah, that's all I can say in that sense, I think.
Yes, no, that's perfect. Come on, audience. Ask some questions.
Come on, give us something. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes, there is.
Oops.
I don't know, Bryce, if you want to add something, as you are the official safe person for now, for the time being.
No, yes, I mean, if any of the delegates or teachers or officials have seen me, I've been at some of the regional sessions this year, and I think that part of the value of the event safe person is when delegates do not see you as an external person to the session and you're more engaged with them, so trying to participate with them actively, trying to talk with them during coffee breaks, during lunch, trying to find out how they're feeling or how their day has been. I think that those small things can make you feel more comfortable, and that is the approach that an event safe person takes at a session, where we will try to be there for you for everything that we can, and if we can make you smile because we see you or for any reason, we will always try to be there for you, and we will be there for you. And that's why, well, we'll have different activities, different time slots where both me and the other event safe person that will accompany me at the session, we will try to make sure that you have the time to talk to us and that you're not missing out and that you are not walking out of your committee if you feel that you don't want to have that spotlight on you. So we will make everything that is in our power and in our hands to ensure that if you have something to talk to us, you will be able to do so. And I think this is something that Ignasi has also been talking about, and the being approachable is crucial in these aspects. And part of being approachable is being close to you and not being an external part of the session.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was gonna invite. I'm not sure if we have any teachers listening on. I also think that their questions are probably quite important. I think something that we haven't really touched upon is that as safe persons we're also willing to collaborate with teachers quite a bit, because very often we find that they're the people that know their students a bit better than we do. And if there's something that's going on with a certain delegate, if there's any problems, then I think it's very important that we collaborate and we sort of have quite flexible and good communication. But I don't know if there's any here today, and if you have any questions. Okay, we have a question.
Yes.
Right, Paula. If a delegate or an official is not feeling well, is the event safe person the person that he or she has to go to? So this is a thing that varies from event to event, and I think we haven't decided yet from an organizational standpoint for Barcelona, and that's whether there's someone, for example, with medical training within the organizing team, for example, or even like the officials team, that can provide this person with some help or some advice. In general, it depends from event to event. I'm not gonna lie, we haven't decided that yet, as far as I know. But if it's something that has to do with if it's something that has to do with physical pain of some sort, then that's I guess a different subject. But if it's something that has to do with I'm not feeling well in the situation within the committee, someone said something that I didn't appreciate, and so on, that is definitely a moment where you go to an event safe person. And yeah, I don't know, Bryce, if you want to add something on that note as president, because I think
No, I mean, the only limitation that we have as an organization is that we cannot give you, for example, if your head is hurting, we cannot give you any medication. So if you're looking for a specific medication or something like that, you will have to go to your teacher, since he or she is the person responsible for you for those specific situations. And in the case that you are a wildcard delegate, which means that your teacher isn't there, then yes, you will come to me. I will be acting as your teacher at the session specifically. But for 95% of the participants, if you're a delegate, the person, if you are looking for medication, the person you're looking for is your teacher.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. not sure if there's anything else that we can sort of talk about directly without any questions.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise,
If you have any final conclusion you want to add or idea.
Yeah, from my side, I think it's important that you have our contact. From like mine in case of like something going on outside of a session, but during the session that you have Bryce's contact quite close and you know where to access it, because even though we obviously try to be as visible and as approachable as possible, sometimes we just don't reach. There's just not enough people for us to do that, and so just remember that like one of the things that defines also what a safe person does is to be sort of on call 24/7 during an event. And so if something happens, even if it's the middle of the night, then do remember that we are reachable by phone, we are reachable by email, and that we're also reachable if you just want to need to talk at some point, and talk to us at whatever point. So that's something quite important, that no matter the circumstance at the event, if you need to talk, we can talk. And yeah, I think that's for me the concluding point, really. I don't know if Bryce, if you want to add anything else.
No, I agree. I mean, we're there for you, basically. Our position at the session is to ensure that you enjoy the session, and if that involves talking to you at 4 a.m. or at 3 a.m, we'll be more than happy to do so.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, guys, for this module. I think it's been very helpful, and for anyone watching this in the future, it will be very helpful. I just wanted to add that we are working very hard to improve the welfare and safety of participants in a general basis in EYP. And in particular in Barcelona, it goes with the theme of the session, like sustaining the change. It starts within you, and I think that you can take this experience this week in Barcelona to explore yourself, to take care of yourself, to have a lot of me time, and to, I don't know, reflect on your habits and on your personal well-being. And I hope you enjoy and take the most of this experience. And basically that's it. So thank you very much for everything.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming along with us tonight.
Yes.
And, yeah, you know where to find us if you need us.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.